Welcome back, Duelists. Casual Duelist here, and today I've got my Drytron deck. Now, I was told before I did this by one of my teammates that there is a very popular version of this deck going around that actually uses a fairy element to it. If you thought that that's what you were going to see here tonight, or today, or this afternoon, or this morning, or whatever time of day you happen to be watching this, you're wrong. This is more like I can't even say budget because Drytron Nova is like a $30, $40 card a piece. So this is more or less just like a archetypal based deck with some tech. So this is more like a control element. And I hope that you guys get to enjoy this one. So let's start in on the cards themselves. So for this build, I'm going to be using 3 copies of Alpha Thuban because you have to. Double Beta Rostobon, 1 Delta Alteus, double Gamma Eltonin. We are going to use 2 copies of Drytron Medionis Quadrantids. We are also going to use 3 copies of Drytron Zeta Aldehaba. And I am surprised I nailed all of those names. For the rest of the video, though, I'm just going to use the first parts. So the Drytron with the Greek plus with this one, I'll just call them Quadrantids. And again, we're going to tack in 2 copies of Ceravus, the Ancient and Ascended. I don't know that he's an ultimate. That was just a little mispronunciation on my part. Moving over to the spells, we're going to be using 3 copies of Cyber Emergency, double copy of Drytron Asterism, 3 copies of the field spell Drytron Fafnir, 3 copies of Drytron Nova, and this is what really takes this deck out of being anywhere close to being a budget build. We're also going to rock 2 copies of Extra Foolish Burial, 1 of the original Foolish Burial, 2 copies of our Ritual Spell Medionis Drytron, 2 copies Preparation of Rites, 1 Terraforming, and then over to the traps and part that really makes this control. We're going to use 3 copies of the brand new Drytron Meteor Shower, and we're going to pair that off with 3 copies of Solemn Strike. So that's going to be your 40 card main deck. And then we're going to move on to our extra deck. We are going to utilize 2 copies, Herald of the Arc Light, but I'm sure that you guys knew that that was going to be coming as soon as you saw the Extra Foolish Burial. We do have the 1 Apollosa, the 1 Barricade Board Blocker. I'm running my Blackluster Soldier of Chaos, both Borreload and Boral Sword Dragons. Cross Sheep for the effect and play off the ritual portion of his effect. IP Masquerena. Again, Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. Every deck I can play them in. I decided to tack in a copy of Link Mail Arcfiend. During playtest, I didn't play this often, but when I did, it was just amazing. I'm not sure how it'll stand up in a real meta match, but this would be a cool card for you guys to keep your eyes on. Obviously, we're going to be using Link Karibo again, a deck full of level 1s. Why wouldn't you? And rounding it out to the 15 is the Underclock Taker. So, guys, if you have just stopped by for the deck list, I hope that this was a little bit different. Not the same thing that you're seeing on every other channel. And yes, I know I'm a little bit late, but again, I had a lot of things going on. We had the Blazing Vortex come out. We had the Legendary Duelists 2. And the Genesis Impact, and it seems like it was all within about 3 weeks. So, thank you for watching, and if it helped you, consider subscribing. Please tell your friends, and you guys have a great day. Everybody else, let's talk over some of the strategy now. So for the most part, all the main deck Drytrons are going to be the same thing. They cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with the effect of a Drytron card, and you contribute another Drytron or a ritual monster from the hand or the field to special summon the card from the hand or the graveyard in defense mode. After that, they all have another effect that only gets used once per turn. So, when we're dealing with Alpha Thuban, all of that text, plus you can add 1 ritual monster from the deck to the hand, and then of course you cannot special summon monsters except monsters that cannot be normal summoned set the turn that you activate this effect. And again, that last part, that's going to be shared amongst them all. Thuban is going to get us our ritual monsters. So we like him. Beta Rostobon, we were running 2 copies here today. And our reasoning here is that when he is special summoned, we can return one of our banished Drytron monsters to the graveyard. And again, there's going to be some times where we're going to need to be able to return a monster to the graveyard. You got the one Delta Alteus. And this one says that you can reveal a ritual or a ritual spell. Sorry, ritual monster or ritual spell in your hand. And if you do, draw one card. So he's sort of our draw. And again, you could feel free, like if you like, Delta better than you like Gamma or Beta, feel free to invert the values and, really make the deck your own. Personally, the single was good enough. The Gamma is going to allow us to special summon a Drytron with 2k from the graveyard when we summon him. And again, this is really going to help us start to set up some plays. And he's kind of a combo piece. So, again, 2. Out of the 2 boss monsters, I decided to go with Quadrantids, and I'm assuming that a lot of other people did as well, as he boasts the better effect of the 2. They are both 12-star 4K by 4K. And let's look through this paragraph. So you can ritual summon him with Meteonus Drytron, which we already knew because you could use Meteonus Drytron for any ritual monster. Your opponent cannot target this card with spell traps or effects. Okay. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If the total levels of the monsters used for this card's ritual summon were 2 or less, which it's very possible and should almost always be that way when we play this, you can destroy all spell traps your opponent controls. So on summoning, Harpy's Feather Duster, and then can't be targeted by things. So already Quadrantids just leaps and bounds above Draconids, just way above him. Other effect, if this ritual summon card is destroyed, you can special summon Drytron monsters from the graveyard with a name that is not Quadrantids, whose combined attacks equal exactly 4k. So it's going to let you get back out exactly what you put into it, at which point, for the most part, you should be able to, re-loop getting your, ritual spell and just play him right back from the graveyard. Because, again, our ritual spell is going to allow that. Again, I bumped him up to 2, and it seems like DD Crow seems to be coming back in popularity a little bit, so it's a good thing that we got the strikes in there. I mean, they run multi-purpose uses anyway, but running the double Quadrantids definitely helps remove any weakness from that happening to you. So, and then again, we did have the one character that was going to allow us to put back our removed monsters, so that's fine too. And Zeta is going to allow us to add a ritual spell from the deck to our hand when it is summoned. So, fantastic. Ceravus, the Ancient and Ascended. You can ritual summon this card with Sprite's Blessing. We're not going to bother. Honestly, we could play him if we wanted to. It just costs any 2 cards. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control as a quick effect, discard this and negate. That's the main reason he's in here. And again, he's super searchable. It's very easy to play him. And if you do happen to summon him, you can use his effect. And it's when your opponent would special summon a monsters as a quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, negate the summon, and if you do, banish that monsters. And again, this is another part of the thing that just really lets us do some control. Again, even without needing to rely on having Ash Blossoms or effect failures in the deck, we can still use Ceravus. And I'm sure that the Fairy version is going to use Heralds of the Orange Light and maybe Purple. Probably trying to get rid of the impermanence, infinite impermanence. That's the trap. So that seems to be very common amongst meta players right now. Moving on to the spells, we've got Cyber Emergency, which is kind of funny because originally designed for Cyber Dragons, but it'll allow us to add any Drytron to our hand, because add 1 light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set from deck to hand. If the activation of this card in its owner's possession is negated by the opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, discard a card, add this card back to your hand. You can only activate 1 per turn. So it actually has a backup plan built in for Ash Blossom right there. And again, you could use this in Cyber Dragons, and we have, or you could use it in Drytrons, and we will. And it's fantastic. And I love the fact that it was reprinted in Genesis Impact. This was one of the better reprints, I think, in that set, along with Nightmare, Unicorn, and Phoenix being pretty clustered in my boxes. We're going to run 2 copies of the Quick Play Asterism, and during the main phase, what this will allow us to do is target 1 Drytron monster or ritual monster that we control, and then 1 face-up monster the opponent controls. My monster will lose exactly 1,000 until the end of the turn, and because it did, I get to destroy the opponent's monster. It's small, it's petty, it's just control, and the attack point loss is not permanent. Again, so if you kind of playing against something that plays a little more linear, you know where the combo is going. That means you know when to stop it and break the card. So very good. The field spell Fafnir, very good card here. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Drytron spell or trap from the deck to the hand, except Fafnir, of course, which will allow us to get our counter trap and or, I don't know, every other card in our deck. So that's amazing. The activation and the activated effects of ritual spell cards cannot be negated, which makes them even better. So then they can't negate me summoning Quadrantids, and then they can't target him once he's on the field. Once per turn, if a monster is normal or special summoned face up while I control a Drytron monster, except the damage step, I can reduce that monster's level by 1 per 1,000 of its current attack as a minimum of 1 for the rest of this turn. This is just supposed to make summoning my Drytrons easier by lowering the star level of my cards. Kind of inconsequential. The tutor for the spell trap is the most important effect, and the fact that the activation and effects of ritual spells cannot be negated is the better, like the 2 reasons we really need this and why we maximized it by playing it at 3. Nova, the most expensive card in the deck, allows us to special summon a Drytron from the deck and destroy it during the end phase. You may only activate 1 of these per turn. You cannot special summon monsters except monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set the turn that we activate this card. So it's exactly like every other special summoning effect without us having to immediately start by discarding a card or tributing a monster from the hand or field. And this will let you, again, just start off all your combos. You can start with Fafnir, grab the Nova, play the Nova, and immediately you're off to the races. We got the double extra Foolish Burial. Now, I don't know, this is a little costly, but I really do like the Herald of the Arclight's last effect, and that is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 ritual monster or ritual spell from the deck to the hand. And it'll only cost me half my life points, but the later on in the game that this is, the cheaper that's going to be. And again, we should take advantage of every advantage that we have available to us, and it would be an awful shame if we didn't. Again, the Foolish Burial's in here, and I know that my teammates were questioning the Foolish Burial. And again, guys, Mediona's Drytron lets you ritual summon from the discard pile. So why not turbo your monster there? I mean, let's read the Drytron here, shall we? It can be used to ritual summon any ritual monster from the hand to the graveyard or the graveyard. It's right there, first sentence. Tribute the machine monsters from the hand and field, equal attack or exceeded attack to the ritual summon. If this is in the graveyard for the turn, have one of the Drytrons, sorry, not the turn, till the end of the opponent's turn. Lose 1,000 attack, and if it does, you can add this back to your hand. So again, Mediona's Drytron, kind of the backbone of everything, and super sneaky the way it's going to let us ritual summon out of the discard pile. So very cool. Preparation of Rites, add 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from the deck to the hand, and then you could add a ritual spell from the graveyard to the hand. Seeing as the second portion of this effect is not mandatory, we can use this simply to get Ceravus to our hand. And as long as we have Ceravus in the hand, we have a negate. Also, it's a free way of getting the Mediona's Drytron back from the discard pile without having to lower our attacks, which means that we can more easily ritual summon out another version or the same copy of Quadrantids, depending on what happened. So preparation of Rites 2. 3 was way too bricky, and I would consider upgrading it if I had played the fairy version. But I didn't want to play the fairy version. I wanted to play the tech control based off playing just the archetype. And again, the terraforming just gets you into your field spell. The Drytron Meteor Shower, great counter trap here. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster or monsters while you control a ritual monster, negate and shuffle those targets back into the deck. And I don't even care that you can only activate one of these per turn. I think that that is such a unique effect, being able to put them back into the deck where they can't just be, it's not a monster reborn, let me get that back, or, okay, well, I'll banish 2, and I'll play Chaos Emperor Dragon, or I'll play BLS, or I'll banish 3, and I'll play Chaos Dragon Levianeer, or insert whatever graveyard mechanic that deck might be utilizing, and we take away that resource, and we throw them back into the deck. And again, if you're playing up against something that swarms, like, I don't know, yesterday's Ojamas, or a couple weeks ago, the Dark World, you could honestly stop yourself from falling into a lot of plays just by being able to clean up the field and put them back in the deck. And again, Solemn Strike, I don't know how many times I could say this. 1,500 points is way too cheap to negate a summoner summons or a monster effect. I mean, it's just so cheap. So real quick, let's hit that extra deck so we can wrap this up. Again, Herald of the Arclight, we just want to pitch it from the deck so that we can go ahead and either add the ritual monster or the ritual spell. I don't believe I had any tuners the way that I built this. Again, if you were playing even just Ash Blossom could make that card live for you because it's a 3-star tuner and you have a whole mess of 1-star cards. So then you could even play it and actually gain the main effect, which would allow you to, start banishing things going to the discard pile. Real quick, though, Apollos is here for the chain blocks. Again, like always, as long as you get a whole bunch of different names, you give her a nice power bonus and she could start blocking monster effects. Barricade Board blockers here to, run interference for our field spell. The Blackluster Soldier, just one of my personal favorites. I always try to put him into every deck I can. And he's got some good effects. Borreload and Boral Sword, both good. Obviously, Borreload is a little more budget than Boral Sword. However, thanks to the gold pack, Boral Sword is much easier to obtain. We are going to be running Cross Sheep this time, and the reasoning here is that if we can special summon our ritual monster to a zone that this guy is pointing to, we are able to draw and then discard 2 cards, and those additional 2 cards may be the difference between getting the right resources to finish out that round. So the 1 Cross Sheep, IP Masquerena. Let's play some links during our opponent's turn. The Nightmare bits, because again, we want to get rid of special summon monsters, back row cards, or sealing indiscriminately back into the deck, which is always going to be one of my favorite effects. Let's talk about Link Mail Arcfiend for a couple minutes here. So this is 2+ monsters, including a Ritual Fusion Synchro or Xyz. It is a Link 4. And when this card is special summoned, you target a Ritual Fusion Synchro or Xyz that you control or is in your graveyard. All monsters your opponent currently controls lose attack equal to the targeted monster's attack until the end of this turn. In our case, that is 4,000 points, which is pretty much a sucker punch to, treat all of your attacks like direct attacks. It's a good thing you don't have a bunch of 1-star 2K beaters in your deck. Oh, wait. Yeah, about that. So you do. The other effect here is your opponent cannot target monsters you control that were special summoned from the extra deck with monster effects, so it sort of does protect itself. And if it would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish a Ritual Fusion Synchro or Xyz in the graveyard instead. This card might find more play in casual decks like Double D, Triple D, or I guess some people actually call them DDDs. Or I like to call them the Different Dimension Demons, but since it does actually play all of those, I did enjoy this one just because we were running a huge ritual monster. And again, I mean, we were already playing a bunch of other Link 4s, So you might as well have some fun once in a while and put in something that's fun and crazy tech. You do got Link Karibo again. We get a lot of level 1s, and that's where this guy really shines. So that's really good. And then, of course, Underclock Taker. Again, being able to really get those sucker punches on your opponent, being able to target a face-up monster that this card pointing to and one monster that your opponent controls, and then their monster loses power equal to your monster. And again, you just put something like Alpha Thubin back there. That's an immediate 2k reduction. So I do hope that you guys enjoy this. This is somewhere in the middle of casual and not so budget. I do hope that you guys did like it. I hope you guys get a chance to play it. Hopefully those Novas come down in price. But that's all I got for you today. I'll see you guys with a speed duel deck tomorrow, okay? You guys have a good one.